Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this bee and honeycomb themed cake. I also dabbled a little bit with the new fault line trend that I've seen going around. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for new videos every week and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really helps me out. That being said, let's get right into it. To start, I already have a extra tall 6-inch cake stacked, filled, and crumb coated with some ganache. If you need to see how to get sharp edges on your cake, I'm going to link that video below. I went to the craft store and got myself some bubble wrap. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any pieces that would wrap all the way around my cake, which would have been ideal, so I had to do this in 2 steps. I've melted down some white chocolate, and before I poured that on, I did pop a couple of the bubbles on my bubble wrap, both for satisfaction and just for like the aesthetic. I didn't want every single honeycomb to look perfect. I wanted some to look a little bit crumpled, but you can do whatever you want. I'm spreading that over the bubble wrap in a nice even layer, not too thick, not too thin, because it will just break on you. And once I was satisfied with my spreading abilities, I just let this sit until it firmed up a smidge more, not all the way solid, still able to wiggle it around and the chocolate's not breaking or anything like that. If I had to guess, like 2 minutes. I then picked it up and wrapped it around the middle of my cake, and I just held it in place there for a second so it would firm up. My cake was chilled, which just helps the chocolate solidify even faster. And then once I felt that it was on there and it wasn't going anywhere, I just let it completely harden. So I just kept touching the chocolate and seeing if it was firm, if it was soft. I did not touch it. Do not try to pull it away until the chocolate has set. Otherwise, it's going to be a ginormous mess. When it was ready to go, I just picked up a corner and just gently pulled it back. Definitely don't rip this off like you're starting a chainsaw. You want to make sure you're going slow and steady, and it should come off in one piece. A couple little bits broke off, but that was fine with me. I really wanted to go for the black and gold aesthetic, so I mixed some of my Rolkem Super Gold Luster Dust with a little bit of food grade alcohol, and I'm stippling that on. I did this in layers, so after the first layer, I wanted to add my ganache because I wasn't going to take the time to get into every nook and cranny for the honeycomb that was going to be covered anyway. So just a general coating the first time around, and then I touched it up later. Once I was done with the fluffy brush, I went back in with a finer tip paintbrush just to get in on the sides and all the little creases in the chocolate. So now I'm going to start adding my ganache. This is just chocolate ganache that I added a little bit of black food coloring to. I'm going to start adding that at the top and bottom and just building it out until it's flush with the honeycomb. With more of that ganache, I'm just mapping out where I want all of the dips that are going up and down to be. I didn't really want to do this completely willy-nilly. I wanted to have a general idea of how the lines were going to sit. And then once I had just a rough outline, I started to build it out more so that it was coming over the honeycomb or giving the illusion that it was. To smooth it down, I used my bent scraper. I just did this very carefully. You want to avoid scraping the honeycomb because not only will you break it, you will also drag the black ganache all over the place, and we don't want a mess. We want a nice separation of the color. I just scraped it off, and then if I thought I needed to build it back up in any spots, I just patched it with ganache and continued the scraping. Be particularly mindful of how much ganache you're adding at the tops and the bottoms. What makes these cakes look so great is that it really does look like the center is cut out. So if you don't add enough, it can kind of make your cake look like a barrel, if that makes sense, like slightly tapered at the top and the bottom. You want nice, clean, vertical, symmetric lines. I chose to leave the ganache kind of rustic looking at the top. If you don't like the way that looks, you could just pull that into the center so the top edge is nice and clean. Once I was happy with the way that looked, I just went back in and filled in any spots I missed with that gold for all the honeycomb that was showing. I doweled the bottom, added a little more ganache, and then popped on a 4-inch tier. I made myself this template of hexagons. I'm going to link the one that I used below. I cut the centers out using my X-Acto knife. Do not attempt scissors for that. Oh my god, that will take forever. It was so much easier to do this. And then I rolled out a piece of white modeling chocolate between some parchment paper because that's the easiest way for me. It keeps it from sticking to everything. And then I cut that out using my X-Acto knife. I cut out 3 different pieces, and you can see I tried to make them look different. I left some of the honeycombs broken, and any little frayed edges, I just went in with my soft fondant tool and smoothed those down so it was nice and sharp looking. I saved some of the centers that I cut out, and I also cut out a couple little teeny tiny cute ones. Once they had firmed up, I brushed them all with gold. You could also use fondant for this. PS, I just use modeling chocolate because I'm in love with it lately. And it doesn't stretch as much as fondant, so when you're cutting it out, it helped keep the shape a little bit better, in my opinion. I made myself a couple of bees using modeling chocolate. There are tons of molds out there, but I know a lot of you guys wouldn't have access to that, so I tried to make them from hand. Are they the best bees? No. Do they look like bees? Kinda. So that's all I was going for, and that's what I was happy with. Once they had set up, I also brushed them with gold, and then I let everything dry completely. I added my hexagon honeycomb to the top and then just placed the bees wherever I thought they were needed. Once everything was on there, I also just dipped the back of my paintbrush in a little bit of gold and dotted it behind the bees. As a final step, I made a drip out of some chocolate and cream. I'll have the ratios down below. And then I'm just putting that in a couple of the honeycombs and letting it drip down. Once I had set, I brushed that with gold as well for like a honey effect. I know the board was uncovered here, but I did dust the whole thing in a little bit of black cocoa, and I thought that looked really nice versus adding ganache to the board. So if you were wondering what you could do, that was a nice route. And this was the final result, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for just letting me do whatever I want from week to week in terms of design. I know they're kind of all over the place sometimes, but I like doing what I likes, and I hope that translates in the cakes and you also enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.